Are you ready? Did you light the candle? Okay, let's start the ritual. Welcome to Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I'm your host, Rachel. This is a space where truth gets its voice back, because shame loses its power when we speak to it. Here, we don't skip the hard parts. We sit with them, and we learn to hold ourselves inside them. This podcast is ritual in audio form, a way for us to bring intention and intuition back into our everyday. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Intuitively Wild, the podcast. And Happy New Year. Happy 2026. This is officially the first new episode I'm recording for 2026, and that will be coming out first. And that's crazy, and that's very exciting. It is still December while I'm recording this, so it feels weird to say Happy New Year because I'm very much trying to be present, and also it just is still crazy to me that the new year is so soon. But nonetheless, Happy New Year. And we are here for our monthly ritual and ceremony episode. And this is our New Year's reflections and intention setting episode. And it came out in Substack already, but I purposely wanted to record it on the podcast in January because December is such a crazy, chaotic month, and there are so many people coming out with different in manifestation and reflection and in all these different things for the new year, goal setting and all the things. And it's really overwhelming. And also December itself is crazy with the holidays and get-togethers and end-of-year stuff, and I think we all just get a little bit inundated. And then to me, January is this breath out, and we kind of like fully let ourselves hibernate and cocoon into January. At least that's the sense I'm feeling. And January is harder because there's not as many things to look forward to, or as many things to do, as many distractions, but it's very cold and dark, and we're kind of having this come down of the new year and the holidays. And so I feel like this is a perfect time to now pause and process and reflect and set our intentions. And I've been very vocal in my belief that January is not the new year, but I do love the transition from December to January because it's another in-between pause, a time to stop and reflect and process and sift and sort through all that came up in the past year. It's a time to feel and integrate and be with it all. It's a time to gain clarity on what we want this next year to feel and be like, who we want to be, what we want to see blossom and transform within and around us. And it is a time to set intentions and tap into visions and crystallize our dreams. It's a pause to fully deepen into the preparation process. This way, when springtime comes, which for me, in my opinion, is the real new year, and also the energetic and astrological new year, we are ready. So December, January, the new year, the calendar new year is not a time, in my opinion, to jump into action and doing mode. It is not a time to make it all happen and push ourselves into goals and new habits and expectations. And obviously, if you're naturally and intuitively feeling called in that direction, of course, follow where your path leads. But for many of us, the true energy of December is the craziness, the chaos, the starting to reflect and starting to have these ideas of goals. And then January is the pause. And the weather is, for those of us who experience winters, for a lot of us, it's colder, it's darker, it's this medicinal tool. It's one for excavation, and it's one that really sharpens our presence. And so in order to stay connected to ourselves, we have to first find what truly nourishes us during this time. And we talked about that in last month's ritual. If you want to head there and create this really, really grounded toolkit for self-nourishment during this time. And now with those tools and practices and rituals in mind, we can move forward into the new year and bring our manifestations and our goals and our dreams into embodiment, into fruition. And I really hope that you give yourself time this winter to pause, to allow it to be a welcome embrace. And now that the December craziness is over, I hope you allow yourself to be in winter, to really be with yourself and to process all that 2025 brought up and all you want to step into in 2026. I hope you take it as a chance to acknowledge and appreciate and accept what has transpired, and a way to begin to conceptualize and crystallize and clear the way for what you hope will come to pass, so that when spring comes, you're ready to bloom and burst free. And this ceremony is here to help you do just that. At the end of the month, I recorded a podcast episode with my mom, and we actually walk through us doing part of this ceremony and processing some of our reflections and intentions in real time. So you can stay tuned for that. But I did want to read through the ceremony and go through it kind of step by step with you all to help you do this for yourself. And again, of course, this is on Substack if you want to read through it and if that helps your ceremony process. But I find it's also really helpful to listen to it and see what comes up while you are getting ready to do it for yourself. So let us begin. As always, to initiate and begin your ceremony, carve out the time, set up your space, light your candle, state your intention. My ceremony begins before it actually officially begins with the preparation. Setting up for the ceremony is part of the ceremony. Setting up for the ceremony can be a ritual in and of itself. Getting the lights just right, setting up the altar or gathering your materials to do so, turning on music, changing into comfy or ceremonial clothes, lighting your incense, closing your door, putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, gathering community or stepping away. Each part of the setup is done with presence and reverence and intention. And then to officially begin our ceremony, I always light a candle. And so I am recording this early in the morning as I've started to like to do my solos. So the sun has not yet risen yet, but so recording this feels like a ceremony to me. Recording this feels like a ritual. I wake up, it's dark, I do some of my own rituals, and then I light my candles and I sit down here. And that's a ceremony, that's a ritual. And so doing just a little something like that can be a way to kind of shift the energy for you and step into these ceremony practices. And it's something like lighting a candle is a clear marker to me and my body of the energy we are entering into. And then I state my intention for the ceremony and craft my circle, which I've talked about in past episodes. And then I begin. And I really do suggest kind of doing this in full, but of course, as always, you can pick and choose the parts that feel good to you. But one reason why in this ceremony in particular, I recommend doing it in full is because I think that each part is crucial. The processing, the reflection, the releasing, and then the envisioning, the dreaming, the integrating, embodying, each part is so important when it comes to stepping into this whole new year, this whole new energy, and preparing for what's to come. Okay, so for our altar suggestions, this month we will have 3 different sections for our altar. And you want to make sure that the first section is separate in some way from the other 2. Because the first section is going to represent what we are releasing from 2025. The second section is what blossomed and grew in 2025. And the third is our intentions and desires for 2026. So we move into our altar suggestions. And of course, we'll go through the different elements. First is air. And for this ceremony, air will be representing communication. So how did you express yourself in 2025? What are some important conversations you had, words you wrote, desires you declared? And find something to represent for your first altar, you want to find an altar item that represents any of these experiences that felt challenging or that you're ready to let go of. So place something on your altar to represent this. And then number 2, what are some of these experiences that you are proud of, that really highlights your growth or helps you remember your power? And then place something on your altar to remind you of these moments from 2025. And then for the third section, how do you want to express yourself in 2026? How do you intend to show up in conversation and communication in this next year? How do you want to speak to yourself, your friends, your clients, your family? How do you want to write, speak, sing, act, share? How do you want to speak out, speak up, speak clearly, speak honestly, and place something on your altar to commit to this, to remind you of this, to devote yourself to this? And of course, I want to say that these can always, if you're feeling called to just contemplate this while I'm talking, or talk about it with a friend, or journal about it, these questions are for you to do whatever you want. But I do find having those physical representations in the altar can really make it more of a full-bodied practice, and it will lead into another ritual we are going to be doing later in the ceremony. So our next altar items are for the fire element, and here that's going to represent action. So what did you do in 2025? What are some activities, adventures, experiences you had in 2025? Some items you crossed off your to-do list or achievements you accomplished. And so for your first section of your altar, what is one experience you're ready to release and let go of? And place something on that first altar section to represent this moment. And number 2, what is one moment or experience you want to celebrate and remember? And place something on your altar to keep you connected to this experience. And then what do you want to do in 2026? And place an item on your altar to represent dreams and goals and adventures and actions you intend to do this next year. Again, feel free to pause this. I know it's a lot to process and a lot to contemplate, so feel free to pause this at any time to kind of let the questions sit and linger. Use this podcast however feels right for you. But then we move on to water, which here is going to represent creativity. How did you create in 2025? And this is not about the actual action of making your creations, and that can also be categorized under fire, under that action. But this is about the intuition, fluidity, freedom that lay underneath those actions. How did your intuition speak to you? How did or didn't you feel free to create? How did your creations flow through you? So for altar section number 1, what is one way you felt restricted or disconnected from your intuition, from freedom, fluidity, creative energy in 2025? How do you want to release that? And place something on your altar to represent this. Number 2, what is one way or moment you did feel free and intuitively connected in 2025? Place something on your altar to remind you of this. And then, how do you want to create in 2026? What did last year teach you about how you want to feel connected, free, intuitive, creative in 2026? And place something on altar section 3 to hold you to this, to remind you of this desire. Okay, now we move on to earth, which here is going to represent support. What grounded you in 2025? And then for section 1, and maybe more accurately, where and when and why and how did you not feel supported and grounded in 2025? And place something on your altar to represent and release this. For number 2, place something on your altar to remind you of the ways you were supported, grounded, guided, and held in 2025. For section 3, how do you want to feel and be supported in 2026? What do you want to carry forward? What did last year teach you about what you need in this next year? Place something on your altar to set this intention. And then we move on to our last element, spirit, which here is going to represent spirituality. How did you transform and grow in 2025? What identities were shed? What shifted? What evolved? Who did you become? So for section number 1, think about what is an identity or moment of transformation that you are ready to fully release, and place something on your altar to represent this. For number 2, what is a way you grew that you are proud of or wish to hold on to and continue to grow into? And place something on your altar to stay connected to this. And then how do you hope to transform and grow in 2026? And place something on altar section 3 to declare this growth, to own this transformation, to lean into this becoming. And that process could be the end of the ceremony. That could be a huge process. I mean, that can be as little or as big as you want. It can take days or weeks. It can be a long journaling session. It could be a contemplation on a walk. Really give it the time and space it needs, but recognize the expansiveness and the bigness that process could be. And once that process is complete, take everything from the first section of your altar, and if you're wanting to and if you're able to, burn it or bury it or throw it away or rip it to shreds. Get rid of it in some way, in some cathartic way, in some way that, again, feels embodied, like you are truly releasing it from your life, from your body, from your experience, energetically. Anything to embody this release and relinquishing of these moments, of these experiences, of that energy of 2025. And then keep sections 2 and 3 up to remember what transpired in 2025 that you are proud of and all that you are stepping into in 2026. And you can keep this up for as long as you'd like. It could go up all year. You could choose 1 or 2 pieces to keep up all year to have as a regular altar, just foundational pieces of your altar to serve as a daily reminder and devotion to who you became, who you're becoming, and your promise to yourself in that process. And we'll also refer back to these altar sections and reflections and intention section later in this ceremony. So next we will move to our herbal companions, and I have chosen 3. And these are really good for the winter season, so you can use these during your ceremony, you can use them during the whole winter season, both, neither, find what works for you, but I do think that connecting to these plants in some way can be really supportive in this transition process as we are settling into the new year. So first is nettle. This is for discernment, boundaries, honesty, clarity. Nettle will show you the truth about what needs to be released from the past and what needs to be created moving forward. Nettle has been one of my biggest guides and herbal companions as I step through releasing and stepping into new energies and new chapters. It always shows up for me. I could do a whole podcast of my experience with nettle. And then lemon balm. It helps you digest not just food, but also life, information, circumstances. It brings light, levity, and laughter to your life, which can be really helpful during the darker days and shorter days of the winter. And then we have motherwort, which is cooling and calming. It brings courage and confidence. It's nourishing and nurturing and nutritive. She is truly the embodiment of healing and healthy and whole mothering energy. She helps you feel mothered in that way and also helps you mother yourself in all the ways you need to. If you want an extra nourishing and supportive potion for this time of the year, you can create a tincture with these herbs by soaking them in apple cider vinegar. So you fill up a mason jar halfway up with your herbs, whatever proportion feels right for you. Pour apple cider vinegar over them until the jar is full, and then add honey to taste and leave that to sit for 2 to 6 weeks. At least. It can go for longer. And after they've been soaking for at least 2 weeks, you can strain them, add more honey if you want, and then place in a dropper bottle and take by the dropper as often as desired, or you can add spoonfuls to teas, soups, or other creations. That's a way that I really love working with my herbs. Okay, and now our yoga therapy tools. So this is a time of excavation and simplifying. We are in that pause, like I was saying. January is not yet the action-taking time. We are taking away and not yet adding in. So I really want to keep these practices simple. This is a practice to simply be with ourselves and how we are feeling, body, mind, soul, spirit, energy. A simple yet rarely easy practice. I think that January is the perfect time to do that. So find a comfortable position. Could be sitting, laying down, curled up in a ball, on your side, just whatever feels comfortable and easeful to you, and tune in. And ask yourself, perhaps even out loud, how am I feeling? And like truly, truly, truly feel that in your body. How am I doing? What am I needing? How can I find more ease in this moment? And start to notice sensations in your body. Notice your breath, your emotions, your mind. Try to stay present and grounded. Anytime you feel your mind wander and pushing you to be somewhere else, give yourself permission to come back and just be. If needed, you can have a pen and paper down next to you to write down your thoughts. So when things do arise and you feel like, oh, I have to go do this, or wanting to add things to your to-do list, which this often can happen to me, I can write it down on the paper and then come back to presence. And that way my thoughts are just out of my head and I have more ease coming back to my body. If you feel your body itching to move, see if you can allow yourself to soften just a little bit more. You can tune into any natural intuitive movements that want to come through, and that can also be a really beautiful practice in this time to tune into your body, but just maybe try staying in stillness. Just say, I can move in 2 breaths, but maybe let me just try staying in stillness for a little bit longer and see what comes up. And stay in this process for at least 5 minutes, but of course you can stay for as long as you can. And from this place, decide on something you are going to let go of for the rest of this month, at least. And this is not out of rigidity and restriction. This is for replenishment and regeneration. This is for clarity and creativity. This is for spaciousness and sacredness. Approach this process with compassion and curiosity. Get open and creative with this process and be real and honest with yourself. What do you need to let go of? What will you actually be able to stick to? What will feel supportive and nourishing, even if it's challenging and confronting? So take some time to set an intention and really declare some action steps and devote yourself to this decision. Set yourself up for success and create the space to really follow through on that intention, on that release, on coming back to more simplicity in your life during this time. So now we move on to our reflections. And each question here, we have 3 sections, and they will be referring to our altar sections that we moved through above. So for altar section number 1, write about any lingering pain or processing that is coming up for you in regards to all the altar items from section 1. So as you were answering those questions and gathering your altar items and setting them up, what came up for you? What emotions arose? What feelings inhabited your body? Let them come up and through and out. Just write about all of it. Really let yourself process it, feel the pain. Of course, be soft and gentle with yourself, resource yourself, refer back to that other self-care ceremony we talked about. But let it all come out, because that's the only way you can fully release it and process it. And when you're done, place this piece of paper with those altar items as you release them in whatever way you choose. Section 2. Take time here to really write about each of the moments from section 2. The moments you are proud of, the moments that you want to remember, the moments you want to hold on to and bring with you. Let yourself celebrate, let yourself linger and reconnect. Let yourself feel that gratitude and that expansiveness. And reread this anytime you're feeling self-doubt or judgment or fear or need a boost and a reminder of how far you have come, all you have and can accomplish, all the people supporting you, the growth you have been through, proof that you are always in your becoming and always making it through. Keep this piece close to your heart for 2026. Okay, in section 3, turn to your altar items from section 3. Who do you want to become in 2026? What story do your 2026 altar items tell you about your desires, your hopes, your needs? For each altar item in section 3, or maybe if you would like just the overall general feeling, write about how they help you gain clarity on your life. What are they revealing to you about what you want? What is the story they are telling you? And write about why this thing is not yet in your life. Write about any roadblocks or challenges that may come your way when trying to achieve or embody these desires. And set an intention for each. Make a promise and a devotion to yourself. Create at least one action step for each item or each situation that you know you can and will take. And this can either become a regular ritual, these action steps, or be a step in the process towards your intentions. So if your altar items have revealed to you that you want to write a book, maybe your goal is every Sunday I will carve out 30 minutes to write. Okay, now our intentions. So every year I choose an overarching intention and word for the year, and this ritual has become one of my most sacred and continuous practices. It's just as profound to create the intention as it is to look back on how that intention unfolded, how it became its own living, breathing entity in my life throughout the year. So for 2025, I chose the word purpose, and I had a vision and an idea and a hope around what that would mean for 2025. The actual manifestation of how that word bled into my 2025 was not at all what I was anticipating. And so be open to how that word evolves, but hold it close to your heart and trust your intuitive nudge and leaning into what the word is. So this is our chance to perhaps just begin to tap into our intuition and choose our intention and words for the year. Based off of section 3 above, find a theme. Come down to an overall intention or 2 or 3 that you can easily bring with you every day. So again, what is the story that your altar items from section 3 are telling you about what you want and need and who you are becoming in 2026? And from that, choose 1 or 2 or 3 words that embody and encompass those intentions. Then I love to write my intention and my word down on a piece of paper that I am going to bring with me or have on my altar. And sometimes I will decorate it, make it into a vision board or a collage, and then I place it somewhere that I can see it every single day. and then create a daily ritual around it. Look at it every morning while you drink your tea. State your intention every evening while you cook dinner. Repeat it in ceremony or in voice notes to friends, to yourself out loud. Schedule it into your planner or your Google Calendar. Really let this intention, let this word become your companion throughout this next year, and let these action steps become daily foundational rituals in your year. You're really setting yourself up for how you want your 2026 to be. And I can tell you that this is such a transformational, powerful practice, even if you don't see how it is yet until the end of 2026. And then we come to the end of the ceremony. And to close and complete, place a hand on your heart and notice how you feel now. Take a moment to acknowledge and thank yourself for all you've been through this past year and for taking this time to make space for this ceremony. I can promise you, if you do this ceremony in full, if you really allow yourself to move through the releasing and the reflections and the gratitude and the embracing and the integrating, really pressing, shedding what you need to let go of in 2025 and pressing into your heart what you want to bring with you, and then envisioning and preparing and grounding into the next year, you will feel different. You will feel ready. And then to close, state your new intention 3 times, ending with, for the greatest good of all and to the harm of none. And so it is, it is, it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Then snuff out your candle and slowly, slowly make your way back into the rest of your day. Be soft with yourself for the rest of the day, for the rest of the season, for the rest of the year. Let yourself stay changed. Let yourself be in the energy you created in the ceremony. I really hope that this ceremony feels like a guide, a teacher, a warm hand holding yours on your path. I hope it helps you process, integrate, and embody all you learned this last year. I hope it helps you enter the new year feeling soft and steady and secure. I hope it helps you feel connected to yourself. I hope it helps you in your becoming. I know that I'm about to do this ceremony, but I've already kind of walked through it as I wrote it, and it's powerful and it's big and it's a lot and it can bring up a lot, and I hope you let yourself go there if you feel safe to do so. And I hope you let yourself be in the pause of January. I hope you don't feel the pressure. I hope you don't let yourself fall into the pressure of rushing into anything in January. I know for me, I'm feeling a deep, deep, deep call inwards. A deep cocoon and hibernation season is coming for me. So if you see me in January, you probably didn't. I'm gone. I'm hoping to not be seen, perceived online. I'm needing this really big disconnect to reconnect moment, and I'm going to honor that because I am ready. I'm going into preparation for myself. 2026 is going to be a big out in the world year, and January is my time to prepare for that. And February 1st, we have Involk, which is the midway point between the winter solstice and spring equinox, and that will be our next ceremony episode. And that's a big one. That's when we start to slowly shake off the cocoon and the old skin and start to move forward into action mode. That's when that energy starts to come. But until then, I will be in hibernation. I will be in processing. I will be in preparing. I will be in slowing down, softening. And if you're feeling the call to, I hope you are able and willing to give yourself that in any way you possibly can. And if you're wanting to do these kinds of ceremonies together in person, get ready, because this is exactly what we will be doing when the space opens very, very soon in the spring of 2026, so very, very soon. But either way, I hope you will create the space to do this for yourself. And whatever comes up, if you want to share with me or if you need help integrating it, I would love to hear. If you have any thoughts around how you would love the ceremonies to be structured going forward in 2026, I would also love to hear, because I know that it's hard to do them on the podcast. I know that could be a lot of information. My goal with speaking them on the podcast is to allow you to do the ceremony in tandem if you want to pause and kind of do it in that way, but also to listen to it and kind of have a foundational idea of the ceremony you want to create before then maybe going to the Substack or re-listening to the podcast and creating it for yourself. But I know it is a lot of information that we go through, so I'm kind of trying to think about how to best share the ceremonies on the podcast in a way that can really be utilized and embodied and impactful. So if you have any ideas, please let me know. But I'm really excited about how 2026 is going to unfold. I have no idea, and I'm ready to see. I was just talking to a friend yesterday. I was like, I feel like this is the first year where I know that so much is going to happen and change and unfold in 2026 that I'm just so eager to be at this time next year at the end of 2026 to see what happened and to just know what happened. So that's how I'm feeling right now, but I am forcing myself to be super present and super in life. And yeah, so I'll see you all very, very soon. I'm going into my little cocoon, and I'm sending you so much love. Happy New Year. I hope you're arriving to it soft and settled and ready. And if not, I hope you're giving yourself the space to ground. And I will see you next time for more magic. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.